Everybody knows that exercise makes you fit, right? You build muscle, you look better, you burn body fat. Everybody knows that, but a lot of people don't know that there are massive, unexpected benefits to the rest of your life, things that improve that you didn't even know that exercise would improve. In fact, of all the things that can improve your life, exercise is near the top. We're going to talk about 10 awesome, unexpected benefits of exercise. By the way, this is all backed by lots and lots of data. Let's get into it.
It's almost like we were built to move.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the first one. And the studies on this are remarkable. Cognitive function, right? Your brain's ability to process and think. This is a big deal for a lot of people, especially as you get older. I think the last time we looked at the data, if I'm not mistaken, Doug, I believe it was 1/3 of us will probably suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's or something related as we get into older age. And it's terrifying, right? Nobody wants that kind of cognitive decline. But even before that, being able to think sharply and process well, I mean, that is very important for everyday life. Nothing improves cognitive function as effectively as exercise.
Yeah.
This is what all the data shows. When it comes to preventing dementia and Alzheimer's, if there were one thing that you could do that would give you the best odds, it would be active and exercise. When it comes to improving processing speed, working memory, like just essentially thinking better, exercise, proper
Not
exercise.
just metformin.
No, not just
It's always
metformin.
like, we always just jump to these nootropics and,
That's right.
and all these other special herbs and things. It's like, why don't you do the biggest mover, which is, exercise more often.
Is it just purely because the amount of nerves and muscles that are being activated and the brain works as this hub of this massive neural network and you're putting demand on all of those at one time? Is that the thought process? Like, is like, say, doing a barbell squat significantly better for cognitive benefits than just walking, or is walking pretty closely related? Like,
Ooh, good question. All activity is great for the brain. Strength training seems to be particularly beneficial for cognitive function.
okay, so
It's
that
got to be the variety of stimulus.
That's
right?
part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it is that. Part of it is
skill acquisition of it.
That's
also,
right.
Sure.
That's part of it, right? Because strength training, when you do strength training, you're doing multiple exercises, right? It's not like just like walking is just walking, swimming is just swimming,
right?
So that's part of it. The other part of it are the insulin sensitizing effects.
Yep.
So because muscles are so insulin sensitive, they're a storage vessel for sugar, right? Glycogen. Your muscles store up glycogen like your liver does. When you have an insulin sensitive body, that means your brain can utilize glucose and operate well because it uses the energy well, and your muscles do that.
Which these are the downstream benefits, because you get the immediate benefits
That's right.
of the actual movement aspect of it and the demand on the neural network to actually do the exercise, and then you have the compounding effects of what it does for like insulin sensitivity.
Does it also reduce like brain inflammation on some level?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Your muscles we think of our muscles as, a lot of people just look at them and say, oh, these are things that help me move, or, they look good. But it's an organ. It's a massive organ on the body. It operates like an organ. And when you have healthy muscles, they send out signals and chemicals to the body that are anti-inflammatory that reach the brain. They also, exercise stimulates BDNF, which there's all these supplements that promise to do this and all these peptides that'll do this. And this is a big area of research because BDNF is like Miracle Grow or fertilizer for the brain. Exercise raises this naturally better than anything that we've ever seen. So it literally bathes your brain in this pro-growth, pro-neural connectivity, chemical compound called BDNF. Nothing does it like exercise. So it literally so think of it this way. If exercise, or we'll be more specific, strength training builds muscle, it also builds brain. So your brain, like a muscle, if you strength train or exercise your muscles to make them stronger and bigger, let's say, or more
connections.
fit, the brain becomes stronger and more fit as a result of it. In fact, when you look at, we'll stick to strength training because I think I know the data shows that seems to be the best form. All forms of activity, by the way, are good, so long as they're appropriate. But when you look at the strength gains you make with strength training, A lot of people will refer to those initial strength gains as newbie gains. Why? Because it's marked by that first 6 month to year period of strength training are the fastest, as a percentage, the fastest strength gains you'll ever experience in your entire life. So if you strength train for 30 years, like I have, or plus, I'm making gains throughout that whole time. But as a percentage, that first year is like silly.
Yeah, exponential.
Yeah, like it's reasonable to take somebody and double their strength in a year, literally double it, right? That doesn't happen any other time. A lot of that is not because your muscles became twice as strong. It's because your brain and your central nervous system became twice as effective and twice as strong. Much of those gains come from that part and not the muscle. So for cognitive function, it's incredible. Next up is sleep quality. Exercise has been shown in every study that's ever been done on this, so long as it's appropriate. Because if you overtrain or overapply stress, it'll do the opposite. But if it's appropriate, it increases deep sleep and reduces the time it takes to go to sleep. In fact, for insomniacs, activity is one of the first things that is typically recommended. Like if you're an insomniac, like let's get some exercise and see what happens.
Now, do you think this is in the context of the modern world and this would be still true 100 years ago? So like part of what makes me, the studies that are around this is now, right? And
That's right.
We have such a sedentary lifestyle, so much so that our body needs that type of activity. And so therefore go get the exercise so that it can rest properly. Whereas maybe 100, 150 years ago, that wouldn't even be necessary because everything we did every day was so laborious.
Yeah.
With that, you think that's the reason?
You're right, 100%. Because in other words, sleep quality is declined for a number of reasons. One of them being we're so inactive. Mm-hmm. So it's not, and that's what you're going to see, by the way, through a lot of this, is that it's not that exercise is this miracle cure. It's that we're so inactive that we're deficient.
Yeah.
So the example I like to give is if you're deficient in vitamin C, everybody knows vitamin C. If you're deficient in vitamin C, you have disease. You're bruising, you're bleeding, blood vessel integrity is terrible. Heart failure goes through the roof. It's like you literally have a disease. If that person with vitamin C deficiency disease takes vitamin C, it's a cure. It's a cure for all the disease. So we're so inactive that the studies show that proper exercise has all these incredible benefits. Yeah. One of them being amazing sleep quality. Because yeah, you're right. I don't think this was an issue when people were living according to the sun. And I mean, an active person today takes 10,000 steps a day. Like 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
100 years ago was
we
like
were living with our circadian
much.
rhythms. Yeah, it was like we would naturally just decline in stimulus once it got dark.
I saw that, a little off topic, not to take us too far from where you're going right now, but I saw that chart that you talked about the other day. I shared it back in our group, the one that you brought up on the podcast. You definitely got to give it to I don't know if the editing team, when you brought that up, used that graph. That graph, to watch it was one thing, to hear you talk about it was another thing to watch.
Isn't that crazy? Where we spend our time now?
Yes.
That's crazy.
It's very, very crazy when you think about how radically it's shifted just in the last 2 decades compared to all of humanity.
Let's save that. Let's get back on that because I think that's a good topic to circle around. All right, next up is skin quality. So here's what's crazy. All exercise improve, again, so long as it's appropriate, improves skin quality. So collagen production, the appearance of healthy skin, less wrinkles, more elastic, like all forms of exercise show this. But only strength training shows a considerable boost in the collagen production. That is what makes skin look young. Now, why is that? Well, protein synthesis gets boosted when you strength train, which is growth of tissue, and skin is a part of that. So when you get that signal to go up because you're lifting weights, it also extends to the skin.
Yeah, all our cells benefit from being stress tested. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's just, you see that, and even when people go to improve like their facial skin and like they're somewhat like stressing it out and trying to stimulate new stem cells to come in and heal.
Next one is my favorite one because I'll say what it is and I'll tell you why it's my favorite. It crushes depression and anxiety. the common forms of depression and anxiety that people suffer from. So mild to moderate forms of depression and anxiety. The extreme forms, that is a completely different topic. But the kind of depression that people typically suffer from, where it's just moderate and it just lingers, or anxiety, that general anxiety. Studies on this used to show that exercise was as effective as medications and or therapy, okay? Now, I used to make the argument that if you stretched out the study long enough, exercise would outperform it, because with medications, you have this downregulation of receptors, you have side effects that come from it that aren't so great, whereas the side effects of exercise are all good. So I would always argue exercise is better. Well, a big study came out, huge study. I've now talked about it twice on the show, over 100,000 people. They found exercise to be 1.5 times
It's crazy.
more effective than talk therapy and medication for depression and anxiety, which is crazy. It's a 1.5 times. If there was a antidepressant drug or anxiolytic that had those effects, plus all the positive effects that exercise, if we had that in a pill, could you imagine what a blockbuster that would be?
Oh, yeah.
It would be it would be incredible. Here's the other thing. It works on everybody. Almost everybody that exercises properly notices or gets a decrease in these things. Whereas with medications, especially with medications, oftentimes you go through a series of trying to figure out the right combination. And, this one makes me feel numb. Sexual side effects aren't so great on this one. Or, my anxiety's down, but now I'm lethargic. Whereas exercise is good for everybody. And next up, this is a cool one. Exercise has this dual effect on pain, which is remarkable. Number one, it cuts chronic pain, because most chronic pain is due to poor function. Okay, so you have joints that hurt, not an acute injury. It's not like I just hurt my knee, I tore my ligament, a couple months ago. It's like, I've had knee pain for 5 years or back pain for 10 years. That's often the result of dysfunction. Your body is moving in a way that is suboptimal, and suboptimal movement causes wear and tear on the joints in the body. And so exercise corrects that. When you apply correctional exercise, this is what physical therapists do really well. You apply correctional exercise to an area and you start identifying that dysfunction and then start correcting it, strengthening what needs to get strong, loosening what needs to get loosened, stabilizing what needs to be stabilized. Then the pain goes away because your function is better. But here's the other side of it, which is crazy. Exercise increases pain tolerance.
Yeah. It builds a different association with it.
Totally.
So now you see the benefit of stress testing it, going through this little bit of uncomfortable, burn or pain or whatever, you're feeling. You realize that, this is benefiting me. Now you have an association towards like, let's keep pursuing this.
It literally changes the experience of pain. The reason why pain is so difficult to treat sometimes is because you have the physiological thing that's happening, and the pain signals. And then you have the experience of the pain.
Yeah.
The experience of the pain is just as important as what's happening physiologically. So someone might think, increased pain tolerance. What does that mean? That I still have the pain, but I just deal with it? No, it means you literally feel it less. It literally means you feel it less. I've told this story before. It's one of my favorite experiences as a trainer. I had this woman. I was an early trainer, so I must have been.
I know what you're going to tell. I think every trainer's probably had at least a couple clients.
I know when I tell the story.
Yeah.
Trainers are going to listen and be like, "Oh my God, that happened to me." I was probably 19. There was a woman that I was training. She was in her 60s. I want to say, never strength trained before. We're doing tricep press down, super low weight. I'm literally just teaching her how to do it. She's going, and I remember as she's doing it, and I'm watching her form. Oh, that's good. Keep going. She suddenly lets go of the bar, weight stack slams, and she's like, "Ow!" And I'm like,
"It burns."
I thought she was hurt. I'm like, "Wait, what do you?" She's like, "I think I hurt something." Like, what do you mean? And she's like pointing to it, and then I realized it took me 5 minutes. I'm like, "Your triceps are burning." She's never felt what that feels like. Her association with the pain, it was just intolerable. Meanwhile, you got people working out for years, and they can push through pain because they're they literally experience it differently. Yeah. Exercise tackles pain for both ends. So if you suffer from chronic pain, like this is like as close as it gets to a miracle. Yeah. Next up, better gut health. Study after study shows that people who exercise regularly, when they control all the other factors, have a more diverse microbiome, a microbiome that is healthier,
beneficial bacteria,
and their digestion is
Again,
better.
Does this compete with like a probiotic?
Ooh, I mean, it's better. Of course.
Really?
Now you throw both of them together.
Of course. I mean, yeah, of course. That's just like the red light thing, right?
Yes.
Why just do one or the other? But that's interesting to me that even heads up that you would say that it's still better than that.
It changes the microbiome in a permanent way, whereas probiotics don't necessarily do that. They tend to be that's why you take them every day. They're transient. You don't populate your gut necessarily with probiotics. This is what the experts will say, at least. Whereas exercise actually changes how the population of your gut to a healthier one. Next up, it makes you more resilient. Okay, makes you more resilient to illness. So your immune system's stronger. You're less likely to get sick. But if you do get sick, you're less likely to get really sick. And then if you're in the hospital, here's where it gets crazy.
Yep.
If you look at the data on people with low muscle mass, sarcopenia, and they break a bone and they go to hospital
The
versus
recovery rate, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's night and day.
It's insane. This is why when older people break a bone, it's so dangerous oftentimes. You get a 70-year-old who breaks a leg or an arm, and if they're not strong, their health, all health, mental health, physical health declines rapidly. You just see this this chart. You look at the charts on this, it's crazy. But people who are strong, who have muscle, that's protective, when they're in the hospital with a surgery or something, the recovery rate is just so much better. They're more resilient. They're harder to kill.
I would add psychological resiliency here too.
Sure.
I mean, because there's something about exercise that getting towards any goal, whether you're losing weight, gaining muscle, is challenging and has setbacks. And there's something to be said about setting a goal, moving towards that, having setbacks, getting back up, to the mental resiliency that you get from it too. Obviously, for the immune system and the reasons that you talk about, that's obviously a huge benefit. But I would add psychological resiliency in here, which I would argue is as important.
Constantly overcoming challenges.
Yeah.
That's a rep that you're constantly taking.
Totally. Next up, better sex life. There's almost nothing. And by the way, there's like so many reasons why it makes your sex life better. Improve confidence, better blood flow. We just saw a study that connected muscle health to erectile
You look
function.
less disgusting.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Hormones are, more optimized. Testosterone is better, both in men and women.
Your ass is perky.
Everything. So I used to love. Did you guys? I know you guys experience this with clients. When I started training people, we'd say an advanced age, right? So an advanced age in personal training is anybody over the age of, I think it was 60. I think is what they say. Maybe 55, which is so
close.
Yeah, so offensive because I'm less than 10 years away from that. But I would train people in their 60s and 70s. They were always women, and they would always be embarrassed to say this to me. So I'd train them. It was like clockwork. The first time it happened, I'm like, that was weird. But that happened so often, I expected it.
You call it out before.
3 months. It was always around 90 days into
Use a
exercise.
specific term for it too.
They were so funny. They'd say, and I'd get we'd be friends, and they look at me like I was a grandson. And they'd say, Sal, I'm experiencing some interesting results from the sexual. And I knew it was coming. Like, what do you mean?
Oh,
What
do you tell?
Well, I just feel more like vibrant. Like more energy. I'd lead them
Like you
to-
see colors better?
Yeah. No, you know what I mean. Like I had one woman say she felt more randy. That's an old one.
Randy.
Yeah.
Classic.
But it's a remarkable for sexual health and poor muscle health. Like I said, Dr. Lyon was one of the authors of the recent study show that was connected to erectile dysfunction. So that's a big one. And then finally, it strengthens discipline. Now, what do I mean by that? Studies show that when people start exercising and doing it regularly, their ability to have discipline in other aspects of their life, like work, finances, resisting other, for lack of a better term, temptations or challenges, gets better.
Yeah.
Exercise strengthens
Creates
the
more
muscle
freedom.
of discipline.
Well, it's the ultimate delayed gratification.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like nobody went to the gym in one session and got their goal.
Yeah.
So you have to learn delayed gratification, no matter what the goal is. Like it takes time, it takes a process. You're going to have setbacks, and so it's the ultimate version of that. And if learned, you can then apply to so many other aspects of your life.
Have you guys?